How did the Bilderbergers respond, and how does it work with their world domination plan?
Yeah.
We confirmed it. That's it. It's official.
Yeah.
All right, in a very strange turn of many different events, this is Rudkowski of WeAreChange.org. I am joined today by the one and only Boyan Slat, an amazing individual, a very creative individual. He's an inventor, an entrepreneur, does a lot of great things, but the first time I met you, Boyan, we met under very different circumstances. We met at the airport.
How are you? My name is Rudkowski of WeAreChange. I like the dress down. It's my kind of style. Is there anything specific you would like to address or hear about at this year's meeting? It's not safe to text and walk.
Can go.
I appreciate your dress than the other Bilderberg members. I'm more casual myself. If you could get one comment and end all the conspiracy theories out there, that would be really great.
When you're arriving at the 2017 Bilderberg meeting.
Yes.
Of course, there's going to be a lot of questions about that. Of course, people are very curious about that. But I think I just wanted to get your perspective on what happened there and what you were told and just what's going on.
Yeah. So my reason for being there was really in the interest of my project, my mission to rid the oceans of plastic. Now, of course, we all know these people are very influential. They have a great network, wealth, etc. We of course need a network and funding to clean the ocean. So so of course there were sort of certain upsides and downsides to being there. The downsides being PR risk, the upside being meeting these people. So I received an invitation a few weeks ago, and and decided to make use of the opportunity to introduce these people to my work of cleaning the ocean. So I think the conference, of course, after I received the invitation, I googled about it, read a lot of stuff. I think
What was your impression?
Yeah, I think you would be quite disappointed if you really think it's sort of a conspiracy, New World Order kind of thing. It felt like many other meetings. It was just a group of people talking, long days, discussing topics, and I really, I didn't see any weird stuff, I would say, but. Maybe it's sort of my hypothesis is that they like to keep the sort of the secrecy around it, also just as a PR tool themselves. But anyway, so that was I think for me, the useful things were, of course, the cocktail reception things, the having the drinks, etc. But other than that, it was just talking, listening, sessions, that kind of thing.
Could you explain just some of the rules, some of the Chatham House rules that they had you abide by?
Their explanation for it is that they want to foster open conversations, and they say it's if you have to worry about things ending up in the press, you don't really talk openly about stuff. So the Chatham House rule is that basically you are able to use the information that's being shared, but you aren't allowed to disclose who said it and sort of the context. So that was as far as I know the only limitation I received before going there.
And they told you not to speak about this?
About what?
About what happened in the meeting?
Really just Chatham House rule.
That's why there's kind of this interest from other people, because it's like people are saying it's nothing. Sometimes members come out, say that they made these decisions,
Sure.
and that there's a lot of trust, especially when we're dealing. But I could understand, especially as a first-time attendee, not wanting to anger CIA directors and military-industrial complex heads and all these other powerful
Right.
people. So I totally understand your concern, and I won't push any further to kind of give us more details.
Well, I mean, again, my only interest there was to, because I thought it was in the interest of the ocean cleanup to be there. It's not every day you get an opportunity to present, a very important technological, environmental cause to these people. So I thought it was in the interest of the oceans, really, that I was there, and that's what we do.
Because kind of looking from the outside, you see the kind of organizations involved, like Goldman Sachs, like Bayer and Monsanto, and you can kind of see that their record is not always that they had the best interest at heart, but
No.
Their interest of the environment and the people is not always there. But
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is important. I think you've had tremendous success early on in your life. I think what you're doing is very noble, and I think it'll be interesting to kind of give us your story of the decision that made you go there and your mission.
Sure. Yeah. So at the Ocean Cleanup, we develop advanced technologies to rid the oceans of plastic. So every year, millions of tons of plastic enter the oceans. Actually, we published a study today showing it's about 2 million tons of plastic flowing out of rivers each year, and it's accumulating in 5 areas in the world called ocean garbage patches. The most famous one being the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is between Hawaii and California.
Some of them are islands, just
Yeah.
full of plastic out
Right.
there in the oceans.
Yeah, I think it's sort of the term island is a bit of a hyperbole. It's more of a dispersed accumulation zone, as it were. So, so even though the surface area is massive, so we're talking about, say, twice the size of Texas for the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's not like you can walk on it. It's you're talking about a few hundred kilos every square kilometer, which is it's a crazy amount. It's about 10,000 times more than naturally occurring sea life, and of course it's doing all these problems in terms of economic damage, health impact entering in the fish we eat, and also in terms of the environment, 200 species being threatened by it. So so it's a big problem, and on one side we need to make sure no more plastic enters the ocean. On the other side we need to clean up what's already out there. And that's where my starting point was. I was 16 years old. I was diving in Greece, saw more plastic bags than fish, and I thought, well, why don't we clean this up? And I quickly realized that the ocean is quite big, and it would take a lot of time with boats and nets to actually clean it up, tens of thousands of years actually. And actually, this plastic moves around, so it doesn't stay in one spot. So I thought, well, why go through the ocean if the ocean can also go through you? So what I invented is 300 euros of pocket money, but then it sort of went viral thanks to the power of the internet. A few years ago, was being shared millions of times, and that then allowed me to raise the initial capital through crowdfunding. So we raised $2.2 million with crowdfunding, and now we just raised an additional 21 million to actually build the first system. So over the past 2 years, we've done the reconnaissance of the patch. So we crossed it with 30 boats at the same time. We crossed it with an airplane. We've done the scale model testing. We've deployed a prototype on the North Sea, and now we're ready to really do the first one, which is expected to be deployed from San Francisco early next year.
I think this is the most fascinating part. When you have an idea, now because of the internet, unlike before, it could finally take off.
Yes.
And I know Theo saw it and also decided to sponsor this. I know other people are sponsoring this, and now it's a multi-million-dollar organization that's going to be helping up, doing something positive for the environment and happening positive for the people, which I find fascinating. How quickly something could spread, and now this is your main thing, and you're only 22.
Yes. So I think when I was born in 1994, and if somebody would have launched a project in 94, this thing wouldn't be able to exist. Without crowdfunding, we would have any capital. Without without social media, this people wouldn't know about this because at first, especially first few years, it wasn't the media reporting on this. It was just blogs and it being spread out through the internet organically. And thirdly, without things like video conferencing, initially, this team was sort of all volunteers, all spread out over the world, and we wouldn't have been able to work together without stuff like Skype. So, so really, without internet, so I think the Ocean Cleanup is really a product of the times, a product of the internet.
I find the project very fascinating and very noble, what you're trying to do. But it's also a way to raise funds and to continue the operation later on. Can you tell us about how you guys will be processing the plastic, your future goals, your future assessments, and how this will play out in the long run?
Yeah. So I think for this to work on the long term, there needs to be some revenue stream, right? Because it can't be it can't just receive donations all the time. So you don't want to be sort of a bottomless pit where people have to throw money and it will need money forever. So in terms of initial investment, the plan is to partner with companies, partner with individuals, them being able to sort of buy their own ocean cleanup system, sort of as from marketing budgets, to at least get them out there, to get the capital investment out of the way. But then in terms of operational costs, the plan is actually recycle the plastic and then bring that back on the market at a premium, so that people can say, well, my sunglasses are made out of ocean plastic.
Yeah, and those are the sunglasses that are.
So this is actually my pair of sunglasses that we already made sort of as a test from ocean plastic. And you can imagine sort of the bumper of your next car, or your dashboard, or your chair, or your laptop, or anything being made out of ocean plastic in the future. So that's how we foresee being self-sustainable on the long term.
Okay, silly question. How did the Bilderbergers respond, and how does it work with their world domination plan? We confirmed it. That's it. It's official.
I didn't really see anything of that stuff going on.
I just mean, how did they respond to your project?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Okay, so of course I try to meet as many people as possible there, sort of networking, and I think there are certainly a few that I think will want to get involved. Of course, it was I was very much the odd one out, right? It was just I think it's a group of predominantly sort of middle-aged white men, that all know each other. So it was kind of an interesting exercise to network there, I think I made a few good relations, and it's too early to say whether something actually is going to come out of it, but it was certainly the right level of people, and it's certainly 1,000 times better to have people like this support you than having them against you or something. So so I think, and of course it's not, it's these are not all bad people. They're wealthy and powerful, but if we use that wealth and power in a good way, I think it's it can actually help causes like mine of cleaning the ocean. It's just about funneling it to the right things.
Mm-hmm. And I find it fascinating that you were there. I find your story just in general, from doing something as a teenager and now actually making a big impact because of the internet, because of your idea, fascinating in itself. So you definitely have a very rising career, a lot of great things ahead of you. Leaving you with the last word here, and what you hope for the future, and for yourself and for the world.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think somebody has to do this, right? When I started, nobody else did it, so I thought, I should do this. So I don't think it's a very noble thing. It's just something we as a society have to solve. But in general, I think to solve the problems of these days, it's really about converting a civilization that we created in the last century into one that will still be around in the next century. Oh, that's very loud. Yeah.
It's okay. The mics are professional
Okay.
mics. And that
Wonderful. So I think to solve these problems, I think it's a lot more about, or it's a lot less about sort of trying to fight against the things that we don't agree with. It's much more about supporting the things that we do agree with, and making that grow. I think eventually it's an arms race between good technologies and bad technologies. Take for example energy. There are incredibly bright people working on how to make hydraulic fracturing and hydrocarbon extraction even cheaper, even more efficient. And on the other side, there are people working on making solar energy, wind energy cheaper, more efficient. I think eventually the side where most smart people are working on is the side that will win. And so I think there's. Yeah, it's a responsibility of the smart people in the world, of the engineers, of the scientists, to work on the things that are right. So I think activism in this century won't be a classic sort of protesting, marches, that kind of thing that we saw a lot in the past few decades. I think it will be more entrepreneurship. It's not about fighting that you don't agree with, but actually creating what you want to see the world to be. And I hope the Ocean Clip can be a symbol for that. That we use technology to solve a big society problem.
Thank you so much for the on-the-record and off-the-record meeting we had. I really appreciate it. Thank you for wanting to have a dialogue. I think what you're doing is fascinating, and I wish you the best of luck with it. The link to Boyan's website will be in the description below. Definitely check him out. Definitely up and coming. I'm really interested to see the project take off, and hopefully I'll be there too when the first ship sails.
Yeah, and definitely invited. So
awesome.
thanks. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Cheers.